This video is not sponsored by KFC because KFC chicken is shit. There we go. Now we don't want to get anyone saying this is a ad placement. Sorted. KFC is the premier provider of fried chicken in a bucket, all of which is cooked to the exacting standards of Colonel Sanders himself, utilising his legendary secret recipe. Well, that's what the company would have you believe, because the actual Colonel Sanders thought KFC tastes like shit.
Excuse me.
I think this is an amazing story, by the way. I love this story. First of all, I'm guessing a lot of people don't realise that Colonel Sanders was a real dude.
Yeah, probably.
And he did wear that white suit every day. He did used to wear other stuff, but when he became the mascot of KFC, he just wore that suit every day for the rest of his life. And he had two versions, a light linen one for summer and a heavy wool one for winter. To be clear, the original recipe KFC chicken, made by Colonel Sanders himself from his gas station, did taste amazing, and it's noted that people would drive from miles around to visit his gas station just to try his godlike fried chicken.
So did KFC today not use the same recipe he used?
No, like the 11 herbs and spices thing. That's a simplified version of Sanders' original recipe, which was too good to mass produce. So when he started franchising out his chicken by the bucket operation, they had to simplify the recipe for mass production so people could actually make it.
So was it too complicated or too expensive for the ingredients?
Both. It was too complicated to make and use, and also the ingredients you needed made it difficult to work on a mass scale if you were trying to sell it for as cheaply as possible. To be fair to KFC, Sanders spent years and presumably sacrificed thousands of chickens to the flavour gods to perfect that recipe. So it's no wonder that some random dipshit in a paper hat couldn't make it perfectly on command every time. And the thing is though, Colonel Sanders didn't take this lying down. So do you know what he did? He drove around the country in his big giant white Cadillac with a golden chicken on the front, in the suit, because he wore that every single fucking day after he got hired by KFC to be their mascot, which I'll talk about in a second. And he'd go into random KFC franchises, taste a single piece of chicken, and if he didn't like it, he'd leap over the counter and tell everyone there how to make it to his recipe.
Now go on and do it the hard way.
So just for a second, imagine you're working at KFC in the 70s and the literal face of your company pulls up in a giant white Cadillac with a solid gold chicken on it, walks in, leaps over the counter and starts dicking around. You'd lose your fucking mind, wouldn't you? In my head, what had happened is a manager would come up and tap him on the shoulder really brusquely and be like, "What are you doing in here? What gives you the right to be here?" And he'd just point to his face. Do you know the scene from Futurama? It's like, who gives you the authority here? And he just points. He just says, the known universe.
Who controls this bowel?
Who wants to know?
Imagine that at any other fast food franchise. You're at Burger King and the king walks in with a coronation and the bugle players and the red carpet gets rolled out and he strolls up the counter, gets a Whopper, shoves it into that big plastic mask and goes, and then leaps over the counter and shows you how to make it himself. As the size of the KFC brand grew, the impact Sanders was able to make on the training of staff dwindled, and he ultimately became frustrated at the poor quality of the food carrying his name and likeness.
So how do we know this? How do we know that he actually didn't like the KFC that they were making?
Well, he actually had an interview, and if you were interviewing Colonel Sanders, what's the first question you'd ask him?
I'd probably ask him if he eats the chicken.
Exactly, and someone did ask him that, and he went, no. So obviously the follow-up question is, wait, you don't eat KFC chicken? Isn't it your chicken? He's like, no, it's not my chicken. It's nothing like my original recipe. The batter they use to fry the chicken is like wallpaper paste, and the gravy tastes like sludge.
You trying to me, dude?
Bear in mind, a lot of people say KFC gravy tastes amazing, so if people say that about the stuff Colonel Sanders thought tastes like sludge, imagine how good original, real KFC gravy must have tasted. Do you know what the best part about this is?
What?
At the time, Sanders was walking around saying, KFC tastes like shit, and interviewers across the country were putting, Colonel Sanders doesn't eat KFC chicken, in massive bold headlines. KFC were paying him to be the face of the company. It's one of the things they did when they bought the brand out. They bought the rights to his likeness, so he wore that trademark white suit every day of his life to promote the brand.
When it comes to fried chicken, nobody beats the original Colonel.
And when the guy who's literally on every bucket you sell is being quoted in newspapers saying he tastes like shit, KFC kind of got annoyed about that and they tried to sue him.
They sued him?
They sued Colonel Sanders. Yes, KFC sued the literal face of their company. And do you know what makes this better?
What?
They lost.
I only tell you one time. Don't you ever try to me.
Just the idea that KFC sued their own mascot. Like, imagine if McDonald's did this. Imagine going to court and you see Ronald McDonald in court in the suit and glasses. He's like, oh, we now have McDonald's versus McDonald's. Oh man, but like, there's so many parts of that story that I love. The first is that Colonel Sanders was obviously a real dude and that he wore the suit every day. That's amazing. The second is that he'd walk into random KFC restaurants and jump over the counter and teach the staff how to make the chicken properly.
Assuming not literally jump.
Well, I hope he did. In my head he did. I'm assuming he just walked around the counter and like spoke to people nicely. But the idea that he'd go into KFC restaurants, taste the chicken and say, this isn't my recipe. Here's how you make my recipe, and show the staff personally how to do it.
I want to think he brings a suitcase of herbs and spices because they don't have enough.
It up, it's got all the herbs and spices in it, but none of them are labelled. It's just, and then the other thing is that he drove around in a white Cadillac with a chicken on the front. So like, instead of like a Jaguar, it was a chicken, but it was gold, and it's like, that's amazing. And then the other one is that KFC tried to fucking sue him and then lost. Says here, Mr. Sanders, that you say KFC gravy tastes like diarrhea filtered through a tramp's sock. Is that accurate? It is, sir. And KFC, how do you respond? We don't like that. Noted. They sued their own mascot and lost. How do you fuck up that badly? The idea they wrote the contract and went, should we put a part in it that says he can't say KFC tastes like shit? We see his recipe in it. Well, no, we did change it like 3 times. And he has gone on record as saying it tastes terrible. Ah, no, but he'd never say this even worse version of his recipe tastes bad, would he? Okay, Brad, since we've talked about Colonel Sanders, what mascot do you wish was also real like Sanders was, and also decide to shit on the company he was supposed to represent?
Count Chocula.
That'd be a fucking strong one. Do you know what I want it to be, though? Alexander Olaf the Meerkat from Compare the Meerkat. I would love it if he suddenly went, nah. I want it to jump ship and go Compare. He's like, no, my contract is terrible. They treat meerkats badly. A percentage of my earnings are supposed to go to meerkat conservation, and they actually send it to people who hunt meerkats with like right assault rifles or something. I'm gonna jump shit. So recently, Brad, we got the double down in the UK, didn't we?
We did.
We did, and I've had one, and it's fucking awful.
I like it.
It's just 2 pieces of chicken.
Well, yeah.
I don't get the appeal. It's just 2 pieces of chicken. The entire time I was eating it, I was like, I wish I had some bread. And it just got me thinking about when I was over in America, how bad all their food is. Like, I remember the first day I got there, the first thing I tried to do is like, I need some cereal. Where do I buy milk? And I went inside because they have like all that weird shitty UHT stuff. I was like, I just want some fresh milk for my cereal. And it took me ages, and I found milk, and it was like $2. I could have got like 3 bottles of Gatorade for that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay it because I want the milk, And again, like, so where's the cereal? I went, I just want some fucking cornflakes or something. And everything was just pure sugar. So, here we go, Cinnamon Toast Crunch and all that bullshit. I'm looking at the sugar on the back, I'm like, I might as well pour a can of Coke on my fucking cornflakes. I'm getting this much in it. And everything over there was so bad for you. It's ridiculous. I think I went to McDonald's and I got like their large. It's like, do you remember our supersize that we no longer do because they banned it because it caused like too many people to have like heart attacks and shit? That's their large. And they also have supersize. I'm like, what do people do? How do people eat this? It's god awful, man.
I could tell we're very different people because you're saying this sounds terrible. I think this sounds amazing.
It was good for a bit until I realised if this was my life, I would look very different. Because I'm bad with food as it is, and it's very difficult for me to like not eat and overeat. And when I was over there, I overate a lot. And with how cheap, like it was literally cheaper for me to get like a can of Coke than it was to get a bottle of water. Yeah. Coca-Cola was cheaper than water. And it's like, oh no. Like, I went into a shop and I was trying to get a Diet Coke. I couldn't get a fucking Diet Coke to save my life. It was so different. I was like, you got Diet Coke, mate? First of all, I didn't understand my accent. So that was bad enough. I just wanted Diet Coke. So, don't have Diet Coke, it's not popular. So, how is it not popular? It's Diet fucking Coke.